Welcome back. This is part 3 on a bumper repair series I'm doing, and once again this is a Subaru rear bumper cover. This next video is going to be a little bit more involved, a little bit more complicated, so let me show you what we're doing today. Okay, we've got a brake right here, and it runs probably about 10 inches from this corner all the way up through here. And what's odd about this is the way it broke. It's actually tapered, so it's kind of a weird crack, but it might be a little easier to repair because I can get a clamp and squeeze this together. So this is going to be a two-sided repair. I'm going to do the back side first. I need to get that all supported, hold it in place before I do the front. Now, in my opinion, a nitrogen welder would be probably the best way to do it, but I don't have one, and I don't know how many shops actually have those and use them, but they are a pretty nice welder. For this repair, I'm going to use the 3M two-part bumper repair material. First thing I need to do is get this held into place with some tape and maybe a staple and a clamp, and then we'll flip it over and repair the backside first. All right, I want to get a clamp on here. I want to hold this together. I think I'm going to put a hot staple right in here because when I flip it over, I need this thing to be nice and solid. All right, normally I don't use a staple gun on a bumper. I'm going to have a video coming out in the future where I talk about these hot staples. But for this bumper, I'm going to put a staple in here to hold this, but then I'll remove it when I go to repair the outside. I'm going to use some of this aluminum foil tape, put across here. The next step is very important. First thing I'm going to do, I'm going to throw some weights in here. I want to hold this bumper solid so it's not moving around. You can throw in dollies, anything you want, heavy hammers. You want this thing nice and stable. The next thing you want to do is make sure the end of this bumper is the same measurement from center as the opposite end. It doesn't do any good to repair this bumper if it's too far out or too far in. You go to put it on the car, if you have to flex it, you may break your repair. So we just want to come out here, and it's actually about 40 3/16. So I need to find some way to bring this in and then also support it, lock it in so it can't move. And what I'm actually going to use is just a driveway marker. I was just looking around the shop here to see what I had. But you want to clamp something in here. It could be a thin piece of metal, it could be a piece of wood. It doesn't really make any difference. So I'm going to clamp this up. I'm going to pull it in just a little bit and then I'll check my dimensions. That's perfect right there, 40 inches. Okay, the next thing I'm going to do, I'm going to take my belt sander and I want to rough the back side of this up. Now this crack actually ends about right here. I'm going to go about 1.5 inches on each side of that crack. I'll go past the end of it some. Once I get the back side cleaned up with the belt sander, I'll put the adhesion promoter on and let that sit, and then we'll continue with the repair. I'll get into all the corners by hand with 80 grit and then go over the whole thing also. Okay, I'm going to put on a light coat of 3M adhesion promoter. And remember, let this sit for at least 15 minutes. Next step, I'm going to put the reinforcement tape on here. And I said in the previous video, I just use the stuff from the hardware store. Seems to be the same product as the stuff you buy. It's made just for bumpers, so I've never had an issue with it. I always wear gloves when I put this stuff on. I don't want anything on my hands to contaminate the surface. So what I'm going to do, I'm actually going to put 2 pieces on here and I'm going to overlap this. All right, once again, I'm using the 3M semi-rigid plastic repair, and this is more of a structural repair material. 4240 is the number. And I want to get this forced in there. And that fiberglass mesh was a little bit bigger than I needed, so if it's exposed out there and not covered up, it doesn't really make any difference. This stuff really sets up quick. And it doesn't matter if that mesh comes loose a little bit, as long as it's in that plastic repair material, it's fine. Okay, I'm gonna let that cure, and the back side is done. I'll flip it over, start on the front. All right, this is dry. I'm gonna take my support off of here, flip this thing over, see how it looks on the other side. Okay, 2 hours later, I don't know why that stuff stuck so good. Now I've got to get this residue off of here. It's a good thing I'm paid by the hour. I'm going to remove this staple. Okay, the next step, I'm going to start grinding this out. I want to get all the way down so I could see that repair material and the tape. That way there's no crack left in there that can come back. It'll be repair material bonded right to the underside repair material. So I'm going to use the belt sander and start cutting this down. Even by grinding out with that belt sander, you can see that crack in there. And that's important to get that thing completely out of there, eliminate that. That'll always come back if there's any kind of a crack in there. So I'm gonna keep going, get this whole thing cleaned out so I can see the repair material on the back side. I'm gonna switch to a die grinder with a carbide bit. I think that'll cut it a little bit quicker, and I just wanna get through this, then I'll finish it with the belt sander. Right, that carbide bit works a little better. It doesn't heat it up and want to smear it. I've got it down as far as I wanted with the carbide bit, so I'm going to switch to the belt sander. Okay, that's as far as I want to take it with the belt sander. You can see the repair material in here from underneath. You can see the fiberglass mesh. And that's why I put 2 layers in there. I overlapped it right through here. If you do happen to cut through one layer, you got another one behind it for a backup. And I also said if that fiberglass mesh wants to come loose while you're putting your material on there, that's fine. If it floats away a little bit from the bumper on the back side, it gives you a little bit more of a buffer to do some grinding in here. So I'm gonna take 80 grit on the DA. I'm gonna feather all this back. Probably just clean up a few little spots here, then we can move on. All right, next step is a light coat of adhesion promoter. I'll let that dry 15 minutes and then we'll fill it. Okay, this bumper has a little crease, a body line. I'm gonna put some tape on that. I don't want to get the repair material in there. The way this wants to run in here, it would need a couple coats to fill it. So this will be the base coat. This stuff sets up really quick, so maybe I can fill most of it in one step. And I'm going to call that good. Being this thing is hanging like this, a lot of the repair material wants to run down. But like I said, you'd have to do this in a couple steps. So I'm going to let this dry for quite a while, and then I'll get back on it with 80 grit. We'll cut it down and see how it looks. All right, this is dried up enough. I'm going to use 36 grit on a little Roloc disc here, and I'm just going to rough this out, get it smoothed up some, and then I'll finish it up with the DA with some 80 grit. All right, that come out pretty good. The next step would be to use a cosmetic repair material to go over this, and that'll probably be coming up in a future video. But you're probably asking yourself the same question that I do when I repair something like this. How strong is this? You know, this thing was broke right in this corner here, and it'd be real easy to crack this open again. If you handle it pretty easy, don't flex it, don't throw it around. Once you mount this on the car and all these little tabs here snap into the retainers, it's going to hold it nice and solid, so it's not going to break on you. We've got a pretty good repair patch on the backside, so it's nice and solid. It's not the best area to try and repair a bumper with these corners and stuff in here. We don't have a lot of room on the outside to really get a lot of repair material on there and to feather it out, but we're pretty solid on the backside. So this is actually a good repair, and it's strong. It's going to hold it together just fine. Okay, I hope you learned something from this video, and that'll wrap this one up. So thanks for watching.